The carriage wheels ground to a halt before the gray stone facade just as the first drops of rain began to fall. Eleanor Hartwell did not wait for assistance. She gathered her worn traveling cloak and descended onto the gravel drive, her boots sinking slightly into the wet stones. The manor rose before her like a fortress, its windows dark despite the afternoon hour, chimneys silent against the low Yorkshire sky. She was 32 years old. She had been a widow for 6 years, and she had learned that survival required neither sentiment nor hesitation. The door opened before she could knock. A housekeeper, gray-haired and suspicious, examined her with the thoroughness of one accustomed to dismissing unsuitable applicants. "Mrs. Hartwell?" "I am. He's in the estate office. Follow me." The interior smelled of damp stone and neglect. Portraits lined the corridors, their subjects stern-faced and disapproving, as though they knew precisely what Eleanor was, a woman whose husband had died in disgrace, whose family had severed all connection, whose only remaining asset was a sharp mind and a willingness to accept employment no respectable woman would consider: estate manager. The advertisement had been precise. A Yorkshire landowner required someone capable of restoring order to a property that had fallen into chaos following his father's death and his own long absence. No family, no references to gentility, only competence. Eleanor had written immediately. She had nothing left to lose. The housekeeper stopped before a heavy oak door and knocked twice. "Enter." The voice was low, clipped. Eleanor stepped inside. The man behind the desk did not rise. He was perhaps 40. Dark-haired, with the kind of face that suggested he had forgotten how to smile years ago. His coat was well-made but careless, his cravat loosened, his attention fixed on a ledger that appeared to contain nothing but catastrophe. "Mrs. Hartwell." He looked up briefly, assessed her with the same detachment she might give a horse at auction, then returned to his papers. "You claim experience managing agricultural estates. I do not claim it. I possess it." His pen paused. He looked at her again, more carefully this time. "My late husband's property in Derbyshire," Eleanor continued. 300 acres, tenant farms, livestock, grain production. I managed it for 4 years before his death and 2 years after, until his creditors seized everything. Why did they seize it? Because my husband gambled poorly and died before he could repay his debts. Silence. The rain intensified against the windows. "You are direct. I have found that directness saves time, Mr. Ashford. You require someone who can read accounts, negotiate with tenants, manage laborers, and prevent your steward from embezzling what remains of your rents. I require employment and a place to live. If my circumstances offend you, I will leave now." He set down his pen. For the first time, something like interest crossed his features. "They do not offend me. Sit." She sat. "This estate has been mismanaged for a decade," he said. "My father was incapable toward the end. The steward is a thief. The tenants are in arrears. Half the cottages are uninhabitable. I have been in India for 15 years and returned 3 months ago to discover I own a disaster." He pushed the ledger toward her. "Can you repair this?" Eleanor opened it. The figures were worse than she had imagined. Systematic theft, certainly, but also profound neglect. Fields left fallow, repairs abandoned, rents uncollected or simply invented. "Yes." "How?" "Dismiss the steward. Audit every transaction for the past 5 years. Renegotiate rents based on actual capacity to pay. Invest in immediate repairs to prevent further deterioration. Establish direct oversight of all expenditures." She closed the ledger. "And accept that some losses are irrecoverable." Ashford leaned back in his chair, studying her with an expression she could not decipher. "You are not what I expected. Few widows are." "I meant competent." "I know what you meant." A flicker of something, amusement perhaps, crossed his face and vanished. "You will live here. There is a suite of rooms in the East Wing. You will have full authority over estate operations, answerable only to me. You will dine separately, unless I specifically request otherwise. Your salary will be £80 per annum, paid quarterly." He paused. "The position is unusual. Your presence will be remarked upon. I do not care. Do you?" Eleanor had been remarked upon for 6 years. Whispers followed her everywhere, that she had driven her husband to ruin, that she had taken lovers, that she was mad, improper, dangerous. She had learned to walk through gossip as though through rain. "I do not." "Then you are hired." She stood. He did not offer his hand. Neither did she expect it. I will begin tomorrow. Begin now. The steward is in the estate office. Dismiss him. Eleanor allowed herself the smallest smile. With pleasure. The steward's name was Graves, and he was precisely the sort of man who believed a widow could be intimidated. He was wrong. Eleanor spent 3 hours reviewing his records, asking questions he could not answer, and tracing discrepancies he had assumed would never be discovered. By evening, she had documented sufficient evidence of theft to see him prosecuted. She settled for immediate dismissal and the return of £200 he had hidden in a separate account. He left cursing her. She did not care. Ashford found her at midnight, still working in the estate office by lamplight. You dismissed him. I did. He is threatening legal action. He will not pursue it. I have his signed confession regarding the embezzlement. She did not look up from the ledger. He is fortunate I did not summon the magistrate. Ashford crossed the room and sat in the chair opposite her desk. He looked exhausted. You are ruthless. I am efficient. It is the same thing, perhaps. He was silent for a moment, watching her work. Eleanor was accustomed to being watched. Suspicion was a constant companion. But this felt different. Curiosity, not judgment. Why did you accept this position? He asked finally. A woman of your abilities could have found something less isolated. A woman of my abilities is also a woman of my reputation. No respectable household would employ me. You did not ask for references. That was sufficient recommendation. What is your reputation? That I am a widow whose husband died in scandal. That I am therefore complicit, or worse. She met his gaze directly. I am neither. But I am also aware that truth is irrelevant. It is not irrelevant to me. Then you are unusual, Mr. Ashford. He stood, and for a moment she thought he might say something more. Instead, he simply nodded. You will join me for dinner tomorrow evening. I have questions about the tenant renegotiations. Of course. He left. Eleanor returned to her work. She did not sleep that night. She had learned long ago that sleep was a luxury she could not afford. The following weeks established a pattern. Eleanor rose before dawn, inspected the fields, met with tenants, supervised repairs, and spent her evenings reconciling accounts. Ashford observed, questioned, occasionally overruled her, but mostly let her work. He was, she discovered, a man shaped by exile. He had left England at 25, following some unspecified conflict with his father, made a fortune in Indian trade, and returned only when duty demanded it. He spoke little of those years, but Eleanor recognized the marks of someone who had built himself in opposition to everything he had been born to be. They dined together 3 times each week. The conversations were never personal, always practical, crop rotations, drainage systems, market prices, but Eleanor found herself listening for his footsteps in the corridor, anticipating his arrival in the estate office, noting the rare occasions when he smiled. It was dangerous. She knew it was dangerous. In early June, the first crisis arrived. One of the tenant farmers, a man named Brennan, refused to pay even the reduced rent Eleanor had negotiated. He claimed the land was cursed, that Ashford's family had brought misfortune to the valley, that no true Yorkshire man would submit to the authority of a woman. Eleanor rode to his farm alone. Brennan met her in the yard, drunk and belligerent. You've no right to be here. I have every right. You are 3 months in arrears. I'll not pay a penny to Ashford's whore. The words were meant to wound. They did not. Eleanor had been called worse. Then you will vacate the property by month's end. You cannot evict me. I've family here for generations. Your tenancy agreement specifies payment terms. You have violated them. Leave willingly, or I will bring the magistrate. Brennan stepped closer, smelling of whiskey and rage. You think you can threaten me? You're nothing. A disgraced widow, playing at being a man. Go back to whatever hole you crawled from. Eleanor did not move. I will give you 1 week. After that, I will pursue legal action and ensure you are barred from tenancy anywhere in Yorkshire. Choose wisely. She turned to leave. Brennan grabbed her arm. It was a mistake. Eleanor had been grabbed before, by creditors, by her husband's former associates, by men who believed a widow was prey. She had learned how to respond. She drove her elbow into his ribs with sufficient force to make him release her, then stepped back and drew the small pistol she carried in her riding coat. Touch me again, and I will shoot you. Brennan stared at her, shocked and furious. You're mad. I am armed. There is a difference. She mounted her horse and rode back to the manor without looking back. Ashford was waiting in the courtyard when she arrived. His expression was unreadable. Brennan sent word that you threatened to shoot him. I did. Did you intend to? If necessary, yes. Ashford's mouth twitched. Good. He is a coward and a cheat. I will handle the eviction personally. Eleanor dismounted. Her hands were shaking. Reaction, not fear, but she kept them steady. That is unnecessary. I can... Eleanor. It was the first time he had used her given name. She stopped. You will not face him alone again. Is that understood? Something in his voice made her chest tighten. Yes. He stepped closer. Close enough that she could see the tension in his jaw, the concern he was trying to mask as command. You were right to defend yourself. But you will not put yourself at risk for the sake of my estate. It is my responsibility. It is our responsibility. The word hung between them. Our. Eleanor looked away first. I should see to the accounts. Of course. She walked past him into the house, her heart beating too fast. Brennan vacated the farm. A new tenant, more reliable, took his place. The estate slowly began to recover, fields planted, cottages repaired, order restored. But something else had shifted. Ashford no longer summoned her for purely professional conversations. He began appearing in the estate office without pretext, asking her opinion on matters unrelated to rents or crops. He rode with her during inspections, not to supervise but simply to accompany. He listened when she spoke of her years in Derbyshire, the struggle to maintain what her husband had destroyed, the bitter relief when it was finally taken from her. You loved him, Ashford said one evening as they reviewed contracts in the library. No. He looked up, surprised. I married him because my father insisted. I managed his estate because no one else would. I mourned his death because it ended my last claim to respectability. Eleanor set down her pen. Love was never part of the arrangement. Do you regret that? I regret nothing. Regret implies choice. Ashford was silent for a long moment. I understand that. Do you? I was engaged once, before India. A suitable match, arranged by my father. She was 18. I was 25. I broke the engagement 3 days before the wedding. Why? Because I looked at her and realized she was terrified of me. Not because I was cruel, but because she had been taught that marriage was something to endure, not desire. I could not bear to be the architect of her unhappiness. He leaned back in his chair. My father never forgave me. Neither did society. Eleanor studied him. This man who had chosen exile over cruelty, who had rebuilt himself in a foreign land, who had returned to fulfill obligations he owed nothing to. You were kind. I was selfish. I could not live with the weight of her fear. That is not selfishness. That is decency. His gaze held hers. You are the first person to ever call it that. The candles burned low. Outside, rain began to fall again, soft and persistent against the windows. Neither of them moved to leave. Eleanor, yes, I am grateful you are here. It was not a declaration, but it was more than gratitude. So am I, she said quietly. In August, Ashford's younger half-brother arrived unannounced. His name was Philip Ashford, and he was everything his brother was not. Charming, careless, possessed of the easy confidence that came from never having faced consequences. He had spent the past decade traveling Europe on his late mother's inheritance, and he returned now with demands. The estate should be divided, he announced over dinner on his first evening. Father's will left everything to you, but morally, I am entitled to half. Ashford's expression remained impassive. Father's will was clear. Father was mad when he wrote it. Everyone knew it. Eleanor, seated at the far end of the table as a concession to propriety, observed the exchange in silence. Philip had barely acknowledged her presence beyond a dismissive glance. The will has been probated, Ashford said. The matter is settled. I will contest it. You will lose. Philip's smile did not reach his eyes. We shall see. He stayed. Days turned to weeks. He made himself at home, disrupting routines, charming the servants, and making increasingly pointed remarks about Eleanor's presence. It is unusual, he said one afternoon, encountering her in the corridor, for a gentleman to employ a female estate manager. People talk, you know. Let them. My brother's reputation is already questionable. A widow living under his roof, dining with him, riding alone with him. Philip's smile turned vicious. It suggests impropriety. It suggests competence. I manage the estate. Your brother employs me. There is nothing more to understand. Is there not? Eleanor met his gaze without flinching. If you have an accusation to make it plainly. I am merely observing that appearances matter, especially for a man trying to re-establish himself in society. He walked away, leaving the threat unspoken but clear. That evening, Eleanor went to Ashford's study. Your brother intends to use my presence against you. Ashford looked up from his correspondence. I know. Then perhaps it would be wiser if I... No, you have not heard my suggestion. I do not need to. You will not leave. Philip is attempting to manipulate me through you. It will not work. Eleanor crossed the room and stood before his desk. He will spread rumors. He will claim we are lovers. He will use it to contest the will, to suggest you are unfit, to damage your standing. Let him try. You do not understand. A man can survive scandal. A woman cannot. If he... Eleanor. Ashford stood, rounding the desk to face her. I do not care what Philip says. I do not care what society believes. You have given this estate a future. You have given me... He stopped, struggling with words he clearly did not know how to say. I will not lose you to my brother's machinations. Her breath caught. You would risk everything for a subordinate employee? You are not a subordinate. You have never been a subordinate. Then what am I? The question hung between them, unanswered and unanswerable. Finally, Ashford stepped back, recovering his composure. You are essential. That is enough. It was not enough. But Eleanor nodded and left. Philip escalated. He began appearing in the village, speaking to tenants, suggesting that Ashford was mentally unstable, that the estate was being mismanaged by an unqualified woman, that changes were needed. Several tenants, swayed by his charm and promises, began withholding rents. Eleanor confronted him directly. Stop. They were in the library. Philip lounged in a chair, entirely at ease. Stop what? Sabotaging your brother's estate. I am merely speaking to people, sharing concerns. You are inciting rebellion to force a settlement you have no legal right to. Philip's smile faded. You have no authority to speak to me this way. I have every authority. I manage this estate, and you are actively damaging it. You manage nothing. You are a disgraced widow playing at importance. He leaned forward. Leave now, quietly, and I will ensure the rumors about you and my brother remain contained. Stay, and I will make certain everyone knows precisely what kind of woman you are. Eleanor's voice remained steady. You have no idea what kind of woman I am. Do I not? A widow whose husband died in disgrace, a woman with no family, no prospects, no reputation. You cling to my brother because you have nowhere else to go. It is pathetic. I cling to nothing. I earn my place through work you could not begin to understand. Philip stood. You think he cares for you? He pities you. The moment he tires of your usefulness, you will be discarded like everything else he has abandoned. The words struck deeper than Eleanor wanted to admit. She turned to leave. 1 month, Philip called after her. Leave within 1 month, or I will destroy you both. Eleanor did not tell Ashford about the confrontation. She knew what he would do. Confront Philip, perhaps even strike him, and the scandal would be disastrous. Instead, she worked harder. She rode to every tenant, personally assuring them of Ashford's commitment, renegotiating terms, listening to concerns. She spent 18 hours each day inspecting, planning, solving problems. She did not sleep. She barely ate. She drove herself with the same ruthless efficiency she applied to the estate, because work was the only thing she could control. Ashford noticed. You are exhausted. They were in the estate office. It was nearly midnight. I am fine. You are not. He crossed the room and gently removed the ledger from her hands. Eleanor, what has Philip done? Nothing that concerns you. Everything about you concerns me. She looked up at him, this man who had given her purpose, who had trusted her when no one else would, who looked at her now with something that terrified her more than any threat Philip could make. He wants me to leave. He believes my presence damages your reputation. He is probably correct. I do not care about my reputation. You should. You have worked too hard to rebuild your life here. And you have not? I have no life to rebuild. I have only this. Ashford knelt before her chair, bringing himself to her eye level. The gesture was so unexpected, so intimate, that Eleanor's breath stopped. You have more than this. You have intelligence, strength, resilience. You have value far beyond what any estate manager could provide. That is not what society believes. Then society is wrong. His hand covered hers. Stay, please. Not because I need an estate manager, because I need you. The confession hung between them, raw and undefended. You do not know what you are asking. I know exactly what I am asking. If I stay, Philip will make good on his threats. He will spread rumors. He will contest the will. He will ensure that both of us are. Then let him. I have survived exile, scandal, and my father's hatred. I can survive my brother's malice. His grip tightened. But I cannot survive losing you. Eleanor's carefully maintained defenses crumbled. I cannot be what you need. You are exactly what I need. I am a widow with no family, no fortune, no... You are the woman I have been waiting for, without knowing I was waiting. The words broke something open inside her. All the loneliness, the fear, the desperate hope she had refused to acknowledge. I am afraid, she whispered. So am I. He stood, drawing her with him, and then his hands were framing her face, and he was kissing her with a tenderness that felt like an apology and a promise simultaneously. Eleanor had been kissed before, perfunctory gestures from a husband who viewed her as property. This was different. This was a question, not a demand. This was choice. She kissed him back. When they finally separated, both breathing unsteadily, Ashford rested his forehead against hers. Marry me. That is impossible. Why? Because you are a landowner trying to re-establish your position. Because I am a woman society has already condemned. Because your brother will use it to destroy you. I do not care. You should. Eleanor. He pulled back enough to meet her eyes. I have spent 15 years building a life. I did not want to prove I did not need the one I was born to. I am done proving anything to anyone. I want you. Not as an employee. Not as a convenience. As my wife. The scandal will be brief and ultimately irrelevant. Philip will contest the will regardless. Society will gossip regardless. The only question that matters is whether you want this. Did she? Eleanor had never allowed herself to want anything beyond survival. Want was dangerous. Want led to disappointment. But standing here, in this man's arms, feeling seen and valued and desired for the first time in her life, yes, she breathed. Yes. He kissed her again, deeper this time, and Eleanor let herself fall into it, into him, into the terrifying possibility of happiness. They married 3 weeks later in the village church. Philip attended, his expression venomous, and left immediately after to begin legal proceedings to contest the will. Several of the local gentry refused to attend. The vicar looked uncomfortable throughout. Eleanor did not care. She wore a simple dress, no veil, no pretense of virginal innocence. Ashford wore his finest coat and looked at her as though she were the only person in the world. When they exchanged vows, his voice was steady. Hers trembled slightly, but she did not falter. The tenants threw flowers, the housekeeper cried, and when Ashford kissed his wife in front of the altar, Eleanor felt something she had thought herself incapable of: joy. The estate office was warmer now. Eleanor had insisted on better heating, and Ashford had obliged without argument. She stood at the window, watching the fields, green and productive, finally restored, and felt her husband's arms circle her waist from behind. The rents are in. All of them? All of them. He pressed a kiss to her temple. You are a miracle worker. I am an estate manager who married her employer. Hardly miraculous. You are my wife, who saved my inheritance and my sanity. Decidedly miraculous. Eleanor turned in his arms, smiling. Philip's legal challenge failed. Of course it did. He had no case. He will try again. Let him. I have you. Nothing else matters. It was true. The gossip had faded. The estate thrived, and Eleanor had discovered that happiness was not a luxury, but a choice, one she made every day when she woke beside this man who had seen past her reputation to the woman beneath. The new tenant cottages are almost complete, she said, and I have been reviewing the accounts for the timber sales. Ashford silenced her with a kiss. Later. Work can wait. You are a terrible influence. I am your husband. It is my prerogative. Eleanor laughed, a sound that still surprised her with its ease, and let him lead her from the office toward the house they had built together, not from stone, but from trust and work and the unexpected grace of being chosen. Outside, spring rain began to fall, washing clean the Yorkshire hills and leaving everything fresh and new.